What's up, everybody? Joshua and Eric here to talk about more Star Wars news.
It's like every 2 days now. Like something huge happens.
Yeah, and of course the big news being that Josh Trank of Chronicle has been chosen to direct one of the Star Wars spin-off movies.
Right.
What's your first reaction to this?
My first reaction is cool. I mean, I really liked Chronicle. I think he's like a young, interesting new director, and it shows that they're not going to just pick sort of people with no flavor, I think, or kind of a bland choice. So I'm excited. We know so little about it, of course, that it's all sort of the great unknown and the speculation of what is this movie and what will he bring to it. But for now, I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, Chronicle, obviously, the big gimmick of that movie was that it's found footage movie, and Josh Trank is also going to do Fantastic Four. So what I find funny about this is that we've seen Chronicle, which is cool. But we have no idea what a movie looks like from him. What do you think? What kind of style are we going to get from his Star Wars movie?
That's what's so difficult and a little weird, right? Because like you said, it's like he's only done one movie, and it was such a distinct movie as far as being found footage. We don't expect Star Wars to ever do a found footage movie. I'd be kind of curious about that, honestly.
It's all from the point of view of droids,
right?
Stuff.
It's like a mouse droid, the Death Star. But I don't think it's going to be that. So that's the thing is, I mean, I think it puts even more eyes on Fantastic Four, because now that'll be the first time we get to see what does he do with a big budget. Not the found footage idea, but until then, it is kind of...
Yeah, and Fantastic Four has a lot of similarities to Star Wars, and I think about it, part of it takes place in space, and they have, lots of creature effects or, special effects and stuff, so it sounds like if he does a good job on that, he will make a good Star Wars movie, right?
Right, and, I know that, I know Fantastic Four has a lot of hurdles to overcome as far as fanboy skepticism right now. It's like the superhero movie. Maybe Ant-Man right now is getting close. But right now, Fantastic Four is the one that has the most, I don't like this idea. I don't like this idea. I think it sounds bad. But that's the thing is, when Gareth Edwards was announced for the other Star Wars movie, I had just seen Godzilla. I wasn't a big fan of Godzilla, this movie, but I thought he did a good job directing it. So I think that's the important thing when Fantastic Four opens, is even if you hate the casting, even if you hate the story ideas, and we don't know yet, but maybe his direction will still be really solid, and which I hope it is, because he's doing Star Wars now.
Yeah, let's take a look back at Simon Kinberg, who he has. We'll explain what his role in is all this.
Simon Kinberg is in everything geek right now. He wrote X-Men: Days of Future Past, and Fox has now basically given him this overseeing role with all their X-Men and Fantastic Four stuff. So he also wrote the new Fantastic Four movie. But he's also heavily involved in Star Wars now. He also is writing one of the standalone movies, we've been told, and he's kind of consulting on it all. He's executive producing Rebels, a new animated series. So when Trank was hired, I did find that curious, because they're working together right now in Fantastic Four. And they didn't say who the writer is on Trank's movie, but I'm like, wouldn't it likely be Kinberg, or at least if he's not directly writing the screenplay, I'd guess he's very involved, because they're literally going from one movie together to another franchise they're both involved in now.
Well, we know nothing about what his movie will be about, which seems to be the name of the game these days. But what would you like to see him do? What kind of character or a story would you like to see him tell?
I mean, right now, of course, only having Chronicle to come off. And by the way, he's a huge Star Wars fan. He made this very funny Star Wars short you can look up online.
Not safe for work.
Not safe for work.
Foul language in there.
That's right.
It's pretty good.
But other people have pointed out, even if you look at Chronicle, it's kind of like a bunch of people using almost Force-like powers, against each other. So he's about to make Fantastic Four. He's about to make a big movie, but I like the idea that these standalone movies can do something different, can be smaller scale, relatively. It's still Star Wars, right? It's still going to be a lot of money, but I think it'd be cool for something sort of edgier, different. There is speculation, right? We know there's a young Han Solo movie, is supposedly one of them. Even if it was that, it'd be cool if it was scaled down and kind of taking place in that grittier side of the Star Wars universe.
Well, so who would you want to see? If you could pick a character for him to a spin-off.
You're putting me on the spot here. Now, I really don't know. It's really hard for me to say.
The droids, maybe? When just the droids, then you could get all the camera work that he does that he loves so much.
I'd be all for an all-droid movie. I will say, everyone's making this joke, but I'll still say it, Michael B. Jordan has to be pretty optimistic today, given the fact that Trank has cast him in both his movies, that there will be hopefully a role for him in the Star Wars franchise.
Okay, one last thing is that because he's a newer director, do you think that, kind of like Marvel, they're sort of choosing, not sort of small directors, but directors who maybe can't throw their weight around as much? Do you think that's a draw for Disney and why they chose Josh Trank?
It's impossible not to be cynical about Hollywood and the business and think that,
oh, you don't say.
They don't want James Cameron. They don't want someone who has all the power, has final cut, has like all the control. But at the same time, you also don't want them hiring someone who's like really bland and just kind of points and shoots. Sorry, Brett Ratner, someone like that. There are other guys like that. So I think the choices they're making are interesting because they are like these young directors. They both, Edwards and Trank, both started out making very low budget movies that people really liked. Then they got their next big budget movie, and now they get Star Wars. I am curious how different will they let these be. We were talking about, could it be like edgier side of Star Wars? Star Wars has a really specific aesthetic, like if you look at it, and I think we all think episodes 7 through 9 will match that, but I wonder, will they let this look a little different? Not like drastically.
When I think of that, of what you're saying now, is sort of like the Harry Potter movies. The third one, Prisoner of Azkaban by Alfonso Cuarón, was completely different than the rest of them and looked really great. So this could be the Prisoner of Azkaban of Star Wars movies.
I love that idea because, when you watch Prisoner of Azkaban, it is kind of a huge shock to the system how different it looked from the first two movies, but we all went with it, right? And it actually felt really cool. Like, hey, suddenly this world you saw that looked really clean, now there's like this dirtier side to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they could hopefully do. It's Star Wars. It's not going to, sorry guys, I don't think we're getting our R-rated Star Wars movie. It's going to be a certain type of film, but I still think maybe these standalone movies, getting these interesting directors, they could do something like Cuarón.
Yeah, I like that dirty Star Wars. Yeah,
dirty Star Wars.
We want dirty Star Wars.
Not safe for work dirty, but grittier.
Dirty. Okay, gritty Star Wars. Right. Okay, well there it is. Well, that's what we want from Star Wars. What do you think of Josh Trank, Chronicle's Josh Trank, directing Star Wars? Are you happy? Are you sad? Let us know in the comments. And for all Star Wars news, and goodness knows there will be a lot more of it to come, keep it locked to IGN.